Afro Svengalis, I am recording this message to you, remix way live, because we had an exchange on your channel. You had asked me to come up onto your panel. I wasn't able to do it for several reasons. Number one, I was not actually at home or settled. And number two, there are very serious, complicating factors that would make that a dicey situation. I'm going to get into that in a few minutes. But before I do that, I wanted to answer a few of the questions that you put on the video. And it had to do with conscious energy, Antonia, and you mentioned something about KKC. Let's start out with the KKC situation. You had asked me why didn't I reach out and make a statement about his position about the money. I didn't hear any statement about the money. I got information that you said on your video, and you stated that someone else had posted a video on it and made a statement, but I didn't receive any clips with any commentary, so I didn't have any information about it. I get a lot of clips about a lot of things. That wasn't one of them, so I can't comment on something I don't know about. Okay, so the second thing you mentioned was why didn't I make some sort of statement or have some sort of intervention and impress upon KKC that this is the sister's money and he shouldn't side with conscious energy. I did not know that he did side. I never heard him say that. But let's say that I did know. I'm not seeing the connection because it would not even be in the cards that I would ever consider reaching out to address that. And I'll tell you why. Because the sister spoke. The sister has stated, Antonia stated it was a mistake. It's her money, and she has a right to decide where she wants to go with this. It wouldn't matter what someone else is saying. Now, people are giving their opinions. They're giving their opinions. What she says matters. That's the important thing in the scenario. And of course, since we have another person here, conscious energy, obviously what he says matters in terms of his point of view. But I wouldn't even consider overriding the sister and going somewhere else to say, why don't you support the sister against conscious energy? That's not even a factor. The factors would be these two people involved, primarily the sister, because she is the one that gave the money. Now, again, everybody has a right to their view. You have a right to your position. I'm not trying to dilute your disposition, but that would not even be something I would even consider doing because specifically the sister has spoken. I mean, and I noticed how she started really putting truth on, and I started seeing all these reactions, these negative reactions. These are things that people don't want to hear. Ethics, truth, responsibility. People don't want to hear that commentary. There's a lot of hostility towards that commentary, even when someone has been victimized. And from her perspective, she felt victimized. People just want to find a way to say something to strip apart and tear apart somebody who says, hey, this is what happened to me. I say it's wrong and I want something done about it. There is criticism, tons of criticism behind that sentiment. And I saw it in the chat. People started making these rude comments. They weren't being disgusting or vile, but it just shows you the mindset of a lot of people around here. They are extremely callous. They don't appreciate a gesture. They don't appreciate good intentions. And no, I'm not saying everybody, but there are people like that. And this appears to be a situation that we're in, according to the sister. That is where we are. It wouldn't even occur to me to reach out to a person who's not even involved and they're just simply giving an opinion. One thing I do want to say, there has been a big uproar about Dumpsy Spears, D. Durrell, however he wants to call himself, paying people to do all types of nefarious, disgusting, and vile acts. He claims to be such a do-gooder. He put conscious energy up to some tricks involving me. He paid him, obviously, to do it. So where's Dumpsy Spears? Where's D. Durrell? Why doesn't he pay the money? Why doesn't he pay it? If he wants to be so self-righteous, I saw him posting a video. These people who are professing to be self-righteous and they have put money out and have paid people to do and engage in illegal activities, why aren't they stepping up to do the right thing? If they want to criticize, because he posted a video supposedly trashing conscious energy. To me, that kind of stuff is so beyond hypocritical. But then again, look who we are dealing with. When it comes down to the nitty gritty, like the sister stated, she knows her options. She can exercise those options. There are people you can try and try to impress upon them your goodwill, your good deeds. And like the sister said, they're going to completely crap on you. And it apparently seems this is a situation that she feels occurred. So what anyone else has to say, it really doesn't matter. I hope the sister gets compensated. She deserves to be compensated because she is saying that she didn't intend to give that money. This is what she is saying. Now, as far as conscious energy being on the defensive, that's something he's going to have to deal with. If the sister's coming out and saying that and he's being resistant, he's going to have to reconcile that. Can you force a person to assume an ethical stance? No, you cannot. You heard the sister. I'm with her 100%. She was putting it down. She was respectful. She was dignified. And unfortunately, you have very few females in these YouTube streets who replicate that. So of course it's going to be a turnoff. So if there were people criticizing her, if there were men criticizing her, you have to recognize women with decency get crapped on all the time around here. And I happen to be one of them. Doesn't mean you have to agree with everything I say, but the method by which people show their disagreement is so disgusting and so vile. That is only just one of the reasons why I haven't yet come onto your panel. Did I say I would never come onto your panel? No, I didn't say that either. There's complications going on right now. I am not in fear. When you say fear, I'm not afraid to go on your panel. It's extremely complex. And I'm talking about relatively recent issues that have come up that don't make it so simple for me just to get up on a panel and start answering your questions, because I know the questions you're going to ask me. I know the subject matter. I know what it's going to relate to. And it just so happens there are people over in that live stream. There are very serious issues going on that don't even involve YouTube. And I think the person that would be the best one to give you details on that would be Rev G, because he knows exactly what's happening. Now, there are people out there, you mentioned anti-fraud warriors. There are people out there who say that they're anti-fraud warriors, but they do not know about the situation. Now, as far as conscious energy, you mentioned him being anti-fraud warriors. Conscious energy had engaged in some sort of, trickery through D. Durrell, trying his hardest to get me on his panel. And for very obvious reasons, I will never go on D. Durrell's panel. And he said some things about anti-fraud warriors. We all considered it entertainment. But since then, things have changed, and it is not just about YouTube. I wish I could say it's just YouTube. It is not just YouTube. People have done things because they have so disdained my right to speak freely. Everybody else, I posted that video, it's a man's world, can get up here and speak freely and say what they want. But the second I try to defend myself, you get this reaction. I, again, am in the defensive position. You wouldn't even believe some of the things that are going on. And I would say about 15% of what actually has occurred, which started on YouTube, and these evil subjects have taken things to the point where it's been off YouTube. They have dragged me into things I had nothing to do with. And now we have the feds and the police and everybody. Trust me, it's not just about YouTube. And for me to come up here and give an opinion about something, it shouldn't result in something like this. This is crazy. But I should not be shut out of my rights because someone doesn't want to hear the truth. I speak up because I have something to say. I'm going to speak up. I'm going to have facts, or I'm going to speak from the heart. I'm going to give my opinion. I'm not going to come on here making up lies about people. I'm not coming on here harassing people. So these people that you hear coming onto YouTube claiming to be bullied, if you could see some of the crap that they're doing offline, and it's dovetailed into something you can't even imagine. So it's not as easy for me just to get up on your panel and to get an interview going, because it's going to bleed into other areas, other situations that are going on that are very serious. Again, people are coming at you. They're telling you these things. A lot of what they're saying is just lies. Bald face lies. Now, you mentioned about emails, that you don't like people to be bringing out emails. Well, neither do I. I am not that type of person to come out no matter what somebody has done. I am not the kind of person that likes to bring out proof of what actually happened, because it's backstage. So people get to come on here and spin a story. I mean, total and complete lies. But they kept going to the point where it turned into something altogether out of control. But guess what? I'm not the person that caused the situation to spiral out of control. I don't know if this is making any sense, but it's not just getting up on YouTube and answering your questions on an interview panel. That is not what we're talking about. It's so far beyond that. And those people, they're not going to come on here. These people have been told, if you do this XYZ, we're going to arrest you. There are people out here coming on your panel that are at risk for that. They've been told that because of things that they have done. There are people in other spaces that you would be asking me about who are also under investigation for things that they did. You can't blame me for that. This is what these people did. I have not done anything criminal. I have not done anything illegal. Just because somebody decides they don't want me to have an opinion and they can't figure out when to stop, that's on them. And I would not be the only person that these people have engaged in these behaviors with. And they come into the person who says, you know what, enough. I'm not going to put up with this. Then you come and find out it's not just me or the other person. They've done this to many other people, but they're still coming online acting like they're victims. They're not coming out and they're not telling you what is going on. Am I going to come out and say, this person has actually done this and this is what's happening? I should be the one to do that? I don't think I should be the one to do that. Sometimes I wonder, will these people ever have a conscience? And the answer seems to be no. They won't say anything until it actually shows up in a court or legal situation that's documented. That's what happened with D. Durrell. He was doing all these things to people, and now he has permanent sanctions on his license. He's a therapist. He has a permanent sanction on his license for billing fraud and what he did to me. He did things to me. These are permanent on his record that he was doing. Not just to me, to other people. So he got a reprieve because he was going around acting the fool. No one told him to act the fool. He was doing this on a world stage, and he still hasn't learned his lesson. I don't want to be in the same situation as that he is in, but you're looking at a scenario that's somewhat similar. The players are different, some of the players, but it's not as easy as getting up there and answering a question. It's not. So as far as conscious energy, let me go back to conscious energy. He is the person that needs to reconcile the situation. And those who paid him to do the things that he was doing before, primarily Dumpsy / D. Durrell, he should step up to the plate because he helped promote what you see in conscious energy, and then he turns around and wants to try to distance himself. How can he distance himself from what he helped create? D. Durrell is supposed to be the professional. He has a higher level of responsibility in the situation, and he's trying to distance himself from something that he helped create. So there are many tentacles to these relationships you see here on YouTube. And again, I know that you have more information than you let on, but perhaps not as much, especially when it comes to how this has bled over into the exterior. Again, if somebody wants to come on, like myself, and give a view and give an opinion, I'll do that. But if someone has already decided, hey, I don't want you to say that, don't say this, or don't speak for me, I am one of the few people that's going to say, hey, this person doesn't want me to do this or say this, I will not do it. That's how that is. Okay? My opinion, my feelings, my thoughts, my views remain the same. But there are people over there that I cannot even address because of situations going on outside of YouTube. And I know your questions will likely steer in those directions. Again, I think Rev G would be in a good position to give you better insights. I would encourage you to check in with him because there are a lot of holes that need to be filled in. You also did ask me why I didn't make a video or address this and why I did not take conscious energy to task. The reason why a video was not made was I had very limited time, and I try my hardest to cater to those who support the channel because we do things for a very specific purpose. I looked around and I saw tons of videos on this topic. I didn't have all the details. I didn't get the actual details until I sat down today and listened to your video, listened to Conscious Energy's video, listened to Antonia. That was the first time I sat down and really looked at what was occurring. So that accounts for the reason for the delay. The situation with the sister Antonia is different because she is not like your typical, and I'll say typical, victim of these particular YouTube streets. There are people who are ripped off by shysters and frauds in these particular YouTube streets, and they would never dream of going on camera to talk about it, and certainly would never file a lawsuit. The sister has her options and appears willing and completely capable of accessing them. That doesn't mean she doesn't deserve support for her position. Hopefully something can be worked out. If not, these two will duke it out in court. But it doesn't appear it's going to be resolved in these YouTube streets. Hopefully I was able to answer your questions, and I would encourage you to reach out to Rev G. He can give you a lot of information and explain circumstances that have gone on that actually are a factor here and now. In the meantime, never forget to heed the warning, buyer beware.